Hello students, welcome to our first lecture around the discussion of network centrality. So as we move towards your project, these topics would be very useful as they directly apply to many real world systems, and it would be expected that you would calculate a lot of centrality measures in real world systems. So as the word suggests, we are going to identify certain nodes that are more central to others, and hence network centrality gives the notion of importance, that how important a particular node is. So far, a lot of discussions have revolved around degree. That is, we classify a node as a hub if it has disproportionate degrees, and we use average degree as a measure to look into the central tendency of the network. However, we realize that centrality itself may not give us a complete description of the importance. For example, here I show four networks which I have sourced from Wikipedia, where different networks and their relative importance are measured based on different centralities, and these are the centralities we are going to talk about. For example, if you talk about degree centrality, you see that some of the nodes located here are important by virtue of their number of connections. On the other hand, when we talk about proximity to other nodes, we will measure something called as closeness centrality, and you see that those important centers, they shift here. Then somebody can argue a node can be important if it acts as a bridge between multiple nodes that exist in a network. That would mean we are going to talk about the betweenness centrality. And then a node can be important because of importance of its connections, and this would be little non-intuitive but would be the most exciting centrality measure that we will talk into this lecture, and hence we will cover that what these four centrality measures, that is betweenness, closeness, eigenvector and degree centrality, means in the context of network. But we are going to identify that what nodes are important by virtue of their different properties. We will revisit this figure again when we go towards end of this lecture. Before we go into networks, we always say that there is a story associated with various concepts that we cover in network science. And in this case, we find our story in graph theoretic measures. So one good thing about graph theory is that many of the definitions in graph theory, they are precise and unambiguous. For example, instead of defining the betweenness centrality in graph theory, we often deal with terms like eccentricity. And as the name suggests, eccentricity of node I is its distance from farthest node in the network. So this is defined for each node that is present in the network. For example, let us consider this simple graph with certain vertices and edges. If we talk about this node I, it is the farthest node from this particular, or farthest vertex from this I is this one or this one or this one, and hence we say that eccentricity of this particular node is max of the farthest distance, which in this case is 2. Whenever we say that farthest distance, we are again going through the shortest path. This is one thing that we have to always remember. Now if we talk about eccentricity of this node, it would again be 2. Eccentricity of this node would be 2. Eccentricity of this node would be 2, and so on. Now if you remember, we can find the vector which would be eccentricity of each node. So for node 1, this would be node 2, 3, 4, and central node is our node 5. For node 1, our eccentricity is 2. For node number 2, again our eccentricity is 2. For our node number 3, eccentricity is 2. Node number 4, eccentricity is 2. And node number 5, eccentricity is 1. So we have defined the eccentricity vector. Now just by looking at eccentricity vector, you can clearly say that diameter of this network is maximum value that you see in eccentricity vector, which would be equal to 2 in this case. And we can define radius. In this case, this is not the radius is as diameter divided by 2, but the precise definition of radius in the context of graph theory is that it should be minimum value from this eccentricity vector, which is 1 in this case. Now, once we calculate this diameter and radius, two important terms that assign importance to each node comes into picture. First one is central point, and central point here indicates those nodes where radius is equal to eccentricity, and the intuition is that those nodes which are more central, you have to cross them multiple times to reach other nodes, and hence we say that in this case this central point would be only 5 because our radius equal to 1 and eccentricity of node 5 is equal to 1, and hence we say that node 5 is our central point by definition, and this is exactly what we mean by non-ambiguous classification of node based on certain definitions. And this makes sense, at least for this network this totally makes sense, because 5 indeed is the most central node as the name suggests and as the definition suggests. Now if we move to second definition, which we call as the periphery. Periphery or peripheral nodes are those nodes for which diameter is equal to eccentricity. Now in this case, node 2, node 3, node 1, node 2, node 3 and node 4, all of them, they have diameter and eccentricity as 2, and hence we say that everybody other than node 5 is our peripheral node. And again it makes sense because all these nodes are identical in terms of number of connections or their location, and hence we have easily learned about two new things, that is central point and peripheral nodes in a given network. However, there is a challenge associated with calculation of central point and periphery, because when we go to real world systems, we are always dealing with either evolving networks or evolving graphs, or we are dealing with sample of a given graph. And as the size of network changes, that means more nodes will join, and these definitions are very sensitive to new incoming nodes. That is, if we tweak our network a little bit, our entire measure of or notion of central point and periphery will change despite the definition remaining same. Hence, there is a limitation that we struck here which gives us a motivation to define something called as network centrality measures, which is different from graph centrality, so or the graph central node that we just learned. And hence we will try to address those limitations and learn something about network centrality. And primarily we will be dealing with 4 centrality measures. First one would be degree centrality, second would be closeness centrality, third one would be betweenness, and fourth one would be eigenvector centrality, which is closest to the PageRank algorithm. But these two are very different things, so we'll not worry about the Google PageRank algorithm right now. But eigenvector centrality would be inspiring the measure of Google PageRank algorithms. Okay, so let us get started with degree centrality. We have been using this degree centrality for a while, which says that degree centrality of a node I is same as its degree I, and if we know the adjacency matrix Aij, if we take summation along a particular row or a particular column, if it is a undirected graph, this summation along columns or rows would be same, and hence we can also say that sum along Ji, we are going to get the same link, and we call this as a degree centrality. Now what we do, we calculate degree of each node in the network, arrange that vector into descending order, and if we have to identify top 1, top 5 or top 10% nodes, we can quickly identify it from the vector that we obtained after arranging these nodes in some order. However, if we use this in its pure form, there is a limitation, because sometimes we want to compare two networks which are of different size, and hence if one network has disproportionately large number of nodes in comparison to the other node, the degree centrality is again going to be higher for all the nodes in that larger network, and hence we cannot do one and one comparison. So what we do is we normalize, and we say that normalized degree centrality of node I is CDI divided by the maximum possible value of degree of a particular node. And now we know that, let us say that we have some 3 or 4 nodes in this network. The maximum degree the central node that I am highlighting in red could have is equal to 3, because no self loop is allowed. So if this is not allowed, we can divide this by n minus 1, and this gives us the normalized degree centrality, and hence this would not be affected by the number of nodes in a network. For example, although it is function of number of nodes, what it means is that you can compare two different networks which have different sizes, because we are already normalizing by the number of nodes in a given network. Now, needless to say, a node which has high degree centrality would have higher direct contacts, many direct contacts with many other nodes, and this is the most intuitive measure of the centrality. Now let's move to the second centrality here, called as closeness centrality. So this defines how important are you because of your proximity to other nodes. Closer you are, more important you are. That means if some message has to be transmitted in a network, you would play a very critical role, as somebody can tell you that information, and you being closer to everybody else, you can quickly disperse that particular message into the system. And to quantify that, we say that closeness centrality of node I is 1 divided by sum of all the distances that node I had with other nodes j, and we take summation over j with only condition that j cannot be equal to I, because distance of yourself from yourself is going to be 0, and hence there is no point in including that. Now, why this inverse? For example, let us again consider this simple graph, and we are interested to calculate that what is the closeness centrality of the node that I have highlighted in red. Now, if you go from here, the distance is equal to 1, distance is equal to 1, and distance is equal to 2 from the node that I have highlighted, because you have to go here and then here. And we say that closeness centrality of red node is 1 divided by 1 plus 1 plus 2, or in this case it becomes 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1, 4. So just 0.25 directly. On the other hand, if let us say that we have a triangle now, a triangle is complete, and we are again interested to calculate the closeness centrality of this node. We would say that in case of CC red, in this triangle is 1 plus 1, 1 plus 1, and this is that's it, because you cannot take the self loop, and hence this would be 1 divided by 2. And you see that the maximum, this is the maximum value, and this is also equal to 1 divided by n minus 1. And we will say that CC max any node can have in a network is 1 upon n minus 1, that we can deduce from this triangle. And hence if we have to normalize this centrality measure, we again say that the normalized closeness centrality is CCI divided by 1 upon n minus 1, which can be written as n minus 1, and replacing the definition of CCI, we can write this as summation I not equal to j for all i's, or j not equal to I for all j dij, and this would be CCI, or the normalized centrality of that node. Now these two are very easy, very interpretable centrality measures. Let us move to our third measure of betweenness centrality. This is my personal favorite, because of the reason, because it finds great application when it comes to analysis of resilience and robustness of critical infrastructures. What it means, let us look into this. Now again, we'd say that betweenness, as the name suggests, that how many times you have to cross a particular node to reach other nodes. So this is measure of how much a particular node acts as a bridge. Let us try to make it more intuitive. There are two networks, one that I am making in red and another network that I am making in blue. Now all these nodes, they have fairly high degrees, and we can even give them a couple of more degrees. For example, I can connect this to this to this, so uh, this to this. So basically everybody is well connected, but the problem is that this cluster is not talking to this cluster here. To do that, we need one node that acts as a bridge, and despite this node having less degree in comparison to node that I am just highlighting, this node is important by virtue of its position, and we say that this is acting as a bridge, and this node may have its importance despite its low degree because it is going to have a high betweenness. Mathematically, we can write this concept of betweenness centrality as CBI equal to sigma STI divided by sigma ST and its summation over all possible combinations of S and T, just subjected to that S is not equal to T and it is not equal to I. What that would mean, let us try to understand with help of another simple example. Consider this network where we have 4 nodes and we are interested to calculate what is the betweenness centrality of the node that I have highlighted in green. Now to do that, what we will do, we will say that how many paths are possible between all pair of nodes. So how many shortest paths are possible between all pair of nodes. So if I select this pair of node, this is one pair of node, then I can have this node and this node pair up, and as well as this node pair up. Now if we have to go from red to red, there are two possible paths, 1 and 2. If you have to go from brown to brown, there is one shortest path here, and again you have to go from here, there is one short path here. Now what this betweenness centrality calculates is that how many shortest paths between all possible pair of nodes leaving that node pass through the node that we have highlighted in green. So we can say that CBI in this case equal to, if you look at this pair, there are two possible shortest paths and only one of them pass through green node or the node that I have highlighted in green. Similarly, between these two nodes, there is no path between, there is one direct path and none of them passes through the node that I have highlighted in green or the point under consideration, and hence 0, and similarly 0 here, and we say that betweenness centrality for node I is equal to 1 by 2. Again the problem is we have not normalized it, and hence we will again, to make sure that we can compare two networks of different size, we have to divide it by maximum betweenness centrality value a node can have, and the maximum betweenness centrality value a node can have would be equal to if all the possible paths pass through that particular node, that is we have n minus 1 into n minus 2 divided by 2 possible paths. If we consider a network that is fully connected, that particular, so all these paths have to pass through a particular node, and hence we will use this as a normalization constant, and we say that normalized betweenness centrality is given by CB into 2 divided by n minus 1 into n minus 2. Now it is very important to get an intuition, and to do calculation you would have Gephi and computers. So you can do it for small networks, but as soon as your networks increase the size of hundreds or so on that you would typically deal in your project, calculating these centrality measures by hand become little bit cumbersome. Okay, so let us move to our last discussion of today's lecture, which is on eigenvector centrality. This is my second favorite because of its definition. Its definition says that you would be important in a network if you are connected to other important nodes. And these other important nodes would be important if you are important. That means it's a give and take relationship that is existing between the nodes. For example, it is often seen that in social networks, a particular politician may be important because he or she may have connection to other important leaders at national and international stage, and we say that this leader is important because of its connection. That means we can, if we write that your importance Vi is proportional to the importance of your neighbors. That means you account for all possible j's, and if you multiply that with adjacency matrix, you would be multiplied by 1 if you are connected, and you would be multiplied by 0 if you are not connected. Does not matter how important that guy is. And if you take summation over it, you are basically adding up the importance of all possible neighbors of your connections. Now if you have to write it in a vector notation, that means if you have to write is that, can you write it in a way that you take into account all the nodes at the same time? You can say that this V vector, which would be of size of n cross 1, or accounting for all the possible nodes present in the network, is proportional to the product of adjacency matrix multiplied by V vector, because if you multiply them for each individual node, you will get the same result if you look into the matrix multiplication. And if we have to remove this proportionality constant, we do it intelligently by replacing it by C or 1 by lambda, and say that this is again adjacency matrix multiplied by V vector. And if we take lambda on that side, we can say that lambda times V vector is equal to A times V vector. And if you are familiar with linear algebra, this equation resembles the equation that we use to calculate eigenvalues and eigenvector. That means multiplying the certain matrix by a vector is same as scaling it by a constant, and this very special case in linear algebra are known as eigenvalues and eigenvectors. So how we proceed from here? We get our adjacency matrix A, we calculate its eigenvalues and eigenvectors, and since adjacency matrix is non-negative and symmetric matrix, we will have at least one positive eigenvalue. So if at least one positive eigenvalue is there, we will select the largest positive eigenvalue and calculate the eigenvector corresponding to that largest eigenvalue. And for each node you will get certain values, so something like 0.3, 0.9, 0.1, and we say that, and up to so on, if and size would be n cross 1, and this would be corresponding to node number 1, node number 2, node number 3, and so on. And when you arrange this particular matrix that you get corresponding to V in a descending order, you are arranging the nodes in order of their decreasing importance because of their connection. Although this math look cumbersome, we are not going to implement this mathematics by hand, but you should have a very clear notion that what eigenvector centrality is, which is basically your importance if you are connected to an important person, and that important person would also be depending on you, and hence it becomes sort of a recursive relationship, and hence you see that there is a v on both sides, and when we remove this proportionality constant, we introduce this 1 upon lambda. Now going back to our first figure, as I promised we will return back. Now if you look at this figure again, this will make more sense to you. You see that there is a node towards the center which have high betweenness centrality, as many shortest paths between a pair of nodes has to pass through this node. Similarly, the nodes at the center are closer to everybody, even including the nodes on periphery, and hence you will see that these nodes have higher closeness centrality. Eigenvector centrality generally is very non-intuitive to identify just by looking at it, but one thing is for sure is that one condition you need to satisfy for higher eigenvector centrality, you should have many connections and you should be part of the largest connected cluster, and hence we see that in this case we can, using network X or Gephi, we can identify that certain nodes of high eigenvector centrality are located here. Finally, talking about the degree centrality, which is the most intuitive and easiest to interpret, can be calculated straightforward from adjacency matrix. Now, in addition to these centrality measures that we have covered, there are other centrality measures like Kac centrality and similar measures, which we